like to call this meeting to order of the Cape Cod Gateway Airport Commission. Today is Thursday, March 27th, 2005, and we are meeting in the airport conference room here at the Cape Cod Gateway Airport. The meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, I must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, to please make their presence known. Not hearing or seeing anyone, we can move right into number 2 on the agenda, which is roll call. Suzanne.
Chairman Flores?
Here.
Vice Chairman Gio?
Here.
Clerk Weil?
Here.
Commissioner Bierworth?
Here.
Commissioner Bailey?
Here.
Commissioner DeGeorge?
Here.
Commissioner Melo?
Here.
And Yarmouth Rep. Christine Greeley?
Here.
We have a full quorum this morning.
Okay, number 3 on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and we can ask folks to rise, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item on the agenda would be minutes of previous meetings, of which there aren't any, so we can move right on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make a public comment? If so, you have 3 minutes to do so. Okay, not seeing anybody, we'll move directly into old business, and we can skip Commissioner's response to public comment because there was none. So, the first item under item number 7 is old business. There isn't any, so we can move directly into new business. This is SCO MO 325-1. It's acceptance of the resignation of the interim airport manager, Matthew T. Elia, and discussion of next steps for acting management. Commissioner Gio, would you make that motion, please?
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to make a motion.
Oh, okay. If not, Commissioner Wheel, would you make that motion, please?
Sure. This is a motion to accept the resignation of Cape Cod Gateway Airport Interim Airport Manager Matthew T. Elia, effective June 12, 2025, and to discuss the next steps for acting management. Sponsor is the Airport Commission, and it may be acted upon. May I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, the motion's been made, we have a second, we can open this up to discussion to members of the commission. And before we do that, Matt, do you have any comments that you'd like to make?
I just wanted to say, as I wrote in the letter to everyone, that I greatly appreciate the Commission's recent vote to promote me, and it's with mixed emotions that I shared that I'd be not moving forward to negotiate a contract and resigning from the airport. With my last day in the office being April 25th before accrued leave, I felt it was important to be here for the FAA inspection, April 15th and 17th. And so we'll continue working to be prepared for that, ready for that, and I'll be relocating off Cape Cod and moving to the private sector. So, but I appreciate the Commission's support.
Well, Matt, I would be remiss if I didn't say we're disappointed. Obviously, we wished that you had made a different decision, but everybody looks at opportunities and seizes them when they come their way. So we wish you nothing but good luck and good fortune as you move on to your new role within the airline industry, so to speak. Okay, any comments from anyone? Any other issues, questions? The only thing I would like to make sure we focus on, there are 3 or 4 specific items that we'll need to address in the immediate. The first, of course, is the inspection by the FAA coming up April 14 and 15, I believe.
15 to the 17th.
15 to 17, okay. So we need to make sure that that's in order, and Matt, you've indicated that that's all under control.
Yes, sir.
Secondly, we need to be sure that as we get closer to the season with JetBlue and American coming into the airport, that we have that outdoor tent set up for passengers to come in and come out through TSA. And so whomever we bring on a temporary basis, we need to make sure that that is under control. In addition, we've done the CIP portion of the budget, but we still have the operating budget to go over. I'm going to ask Norm to become very much more involved in that as chairperson of the subcommittee on finance, and I know that we'll probably be presenting to town council probably sometime in June, which is usually the date. And towards that end, also, there've been some questions that have come to me relative to PFAS and PFOS related questions, so we'll need to make sure we have our arms around that. So whomever we bring on board collectively as a team, everyone's gonna have to pitch in during this interim period where we will, in the immediate, bring on somebody who, with airport experience, to be the acting interim assistant manager, moving towards permanent replacement sooner than later. You know, my goal is to turn this around within a maximum of 30 days so that there's no issue. But I want to get someone on a temporary basis as soon as possible so that they can shadow Matt and work closely with him over the next few weeks, because Matt's leaving as of April 25, and believe it or not, next week is April, so we don't have a whole lot of time. So time is of the essence.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
In that regard, and along with the motion, which is also to discuss the next steps for acting management, I'd like to make a recommendation to the commission for an interim acting assistant manager that would be able to come on board immediately and work with Matt over the next 3 to 4 weeks, so that they have a strong overlap and would be ready to assume as the interim manager while we finish up the selection process for the permanent manager, and that's Mike Nelson. Mike Nelson was the air traffic chief here. He knows the airport. He was formerly the air traffic chief of Boston Logan, and also the district manager for operations for all of New England. Although he's never acted in an airport manager capacity before, I believe that his strong leadership background, his familiarity with the FAA, his frequent multiple participations in 139 inspections from the FAA side would give us a suitable candidate immediately to start and begin his overlap with Matt. My concern about going into a further process of asking for applications and interviewing and whatever, we'll lose 2 weeks of a very short period of time that we have for an overlap with Matt. So I ask the commission to take that under consideration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. I welcome actually anyone's input relative to potential candidates. I have personally reached out to Bud Brio, who has been a long time member of the community, former member of the DPW, and came over here as manager of the airport for a number of years. He and I have been in contact, and he is considering it. He wanted till the end of today to make a decision as to whether or not he would be willing to do it. Not on a full-time basis. He indicated to me that he would be available 2 or 3 days per week. So I would rather, as opposed to appointing anyone today, give the next 24 to 48 hours if anybody wants to, has names that they would like to present, and then we just move this around as quickly as possible. I'm not so concerned as that we have to have somebody in by next Monday. I have put together sort of a timetable indicating that anybody that might be interested would apply by April 3rd, which actually is next Thursday, and then on April 7th, which is Monday, we would do interviews, and the person would start on April 9th. So time was of the essence. That was the plan I was hoping to put forward. I'm not opposed to expediting that and saying, okay, we have 2 candidates right now. We have a Bud Brio. We have this other fellow who I don't know, obviously Mark does, Commissioner Gio does, and move it forward. But I'll leave it up to members of the commission. I'm just one vote, as is Commissioner Gio. It's really up to the majority of what folks would like to do. My main issue is that I want to get someone on board, no later than the first week of April, April 8th, April 9th, to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And I have spoken to Matt, and he is available vis-a-vis phone, other issues, even after he's gone, as is Chris Boswick, whose last day is tomorrow as project manager, primarily because the bids for some of the projects that are ongoing will be coming in within the next few weeks, and Chris has indicated he would be available to help out with that on a per diem type of basis before he completely terminates, which is, what's your last day, Chris, technically?
It's the 2nd of May, I believe.
Second, May 2nd, okay.
Mr.
Okay, so with that
Chairman?
being said, discussion, please.
So, if I may?
Yes, sir.
So if we had more time, I would fully support the plan. But the reality is that's a 2-week process. And we've only got 3.5, maybe 4 weeks at the outset. I am concerned about, although if Bud was able to do it full-time, I'd have less concern. But for an interim to come in part-time and replace Katie, Matt, and Chris, I think is an unreasonable expectation. And again, if the commission will be willing to consider it, Mike Nelson can start right away.
Any other comments, Wendy?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like a little bit of a clarification on the date of departure versus the date that the resignation is effective. That's 7 weeks difference, which I'm guessing is vacation time, 7 weeks?
Yes, that is time earned vis-a-vis vacation, I guess other personal days and sick time, the combination of all of that. Is that what it is, Matt? I'll let Matt
No
speak.
sick time, it's vacation time and 3 personal days.
Wow, I worked for the wrong company. That's amazing.
Well, you can throw your hat in if you want.
Yeah.
I
Thanks.
find that out every day.
Well, but, and we have to accept that to allow someone to.
That's contractual.
Okay, there's no way to change that, right?
It's above our pay grade, I
Yeah.
think, so.
Okay.
That's not gonna change.
Because we ran into the same problem with Katie, so.
Yes, yes. Joe, did you have a comment?
Yeah, Mark, you said Mike can start immediately as an assistant, or is he going for the manager?
Well, he's not going for anything. He's just gonna.
Interim?
Just interim as Matt's assistant.
Okay.
And if we can get him on board right away, we've got 3, almost 4 weeks of overlap with Matt. And then while we're finishing up the formal process of selecting the actual manager, he can continue to fill in. And to do that, I think that the amount of time of having overlap with Matt is absolutely crucial.
Well, then I'm in agreement with having him start immediately.
Okay.
That's my view.
I share that view also. My big concern is not the people who do the work all of the time. My concern is for them to have somebody to go to. My concern is when something happens that we have somebody who has enough experience to be able to provide the guidance and input. And I know they'll provide the input that is needed from the boots on the ground. They must be terrified by the situation, because I would be if I was in your situation. So my concern is to make sure they have all the support that they need to do their jobs and the comfort knowing that we actually care about this.
Right, well, I think on that same note, I did meet yesterday with Town Manager Mark Gels, as well as Assistant Manager Andy Clyburn, Bill Cole, who's Director of HR, and Craig Tamish, who is President of the Town Council, and we shared a lot of information back and forth, and shared with them, what my plan was with approval of the commission to move this all forward, keeping in mind, of course, that, we have employees, obviously, who we respect and want to make sure that they understand, this was dropped in our lap. It's not something that we had hoped for or wished for, but it's nonetheless, we have it under control. We're moving it forward, and that's what leadership is all about. We identify a problem, try to come up with a solution, and just keep everything moving forward. So from a management perspective, I don't think there's going to be any differences in terms of day-to-day operations, in terms of work schedule, work culture. It's not going to change. I think what will change over time, once we bring someone on a full-time basis, on a permanent basis, then obviously everyone will have the opportunity to get to know whomever that might be before that appointment takes place. That will be a public interviewing process. So today, really what we're looking at is discussing, as well as potentially appointing a temporary acting assistant manager who will shadow what Matt is doing and has done and will do between now and the time he leaves, taking into consideration those 4 items that I've mentioned, the FAA inspection, the budget, the PFAS issue, and the outdoor tent, as well as making sure that he, there's no she in this discussion right now, but I usually say he or she, gets to know who the folks are that he or she would be working with. So I'm open. My only issue is that I don't have any information on resume or anything relative to this person. Do you have any?
I shared that with you. I sent that to you.
You did. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I stand corrected, but no one else has seen that.
Which I'm more than willing to share. Again, my concern is the amount of time that's involved. So if this is not conducted now, then we're gonna have to have another meeting in order to be able to make an appointment. And if, we could, if you'd like, we could take a recess, and I can share the information with the commission.
Yes.
Reconvene.
Yes, I would like to do that.
Okay.
And if we could, you could send that to Suzanne, we get that printed, and so we have it in front of us. And before we do that, Commissioner Bailey?
I'd be curious as to what salary we're talking about for the interim position.
The salary that I would expect would be the step 1 of the assistant manager pay scale for the time being. Whatever that assistant manager's pay scale is, that's what we would bring him in at.
That wouldn't be a problem. It's a good question.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes,
That
Chris.
actually, it meets with that, some of the, I wanted sort of a clarification on what Mike Nelson currently does in terms of, and if he moves into this, who will then cover whatever he's doing, here. And then the second thing is that I know you've listed 4 items of priority, but one of the things that has been sitting out there for a long, long time now is the study on the flight paths. And that's going to be very important because you're starting into the spring and summer season. And so the neighbors are already incensed, a lot of them, about this stuff and the fact that the consultant and everything else hasn't started. So when you say 4 items, personally, I'd like to see it say 5
Well,
items in
fine.
terms of,
Should actually be
okay.
Chris.
But the issue is that I know this is, a big problem right now, but sort of in terms of what Mike currently does, but who's going to then cover on an interim basis for what's going on there? So
Well,
thank you.
Mike's not employed by us at all.
Oh, he is, okay,
No, he's
okay,
he's an
fine.
external candidate.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
And I would just add, Mr. Chairman, that all the more reason to consider Mike because of his airspace and procedures background as well, so.
Thank you.
All right, so that, what I'm going to do is postpone the vote on item 0325-1, so that members of the commission can get printed copies in front of us relative to this gentleman that's been proposed, and move right on to the other items on the agenda, and then take a recess and reconvene to go back to 325-1 a little bit later this morning. So let's move right on to COM 0325-2. This is discussion and approval of the recommendation of award for recruitment services to ADK Consulting, Inc. for a total contract price of $49,999. Commissioner Weil, would you make that motion, please?
Sure. This is a motion to approve the award to ADK Consulting, Inc. and to approve the subsequent contract by and between ADK Consulting, Inc. and Cape Cod Gateway Airport for the airport manager position recruitment services in the not to exceed amount of $49,999. The sponsor is the Finance Subcommittee, and it may be acted upon at this meeting. We need a second.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, so we have the motion, seconded by Commissioner Bailey. Open for discussion. Does any member of the commission have an issue or concern or comment they'd like to make?
I just have a comment. I think you need to be commended for the steps you took to get this on the agenda for today.
Thank you.
Down and working with everyone.
Thank you very much, Marguerite. Anyone else? Okay, not hearing any. I'll call the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that is a vote. And we will move right on to SEO MO 325-3, review and approve a travel approval letter for airport staff. Commissioner Bearwith, would you make that motion, please?
Certainly. Motion to approve the travel approval letter submittal to the town manager for one staff member to attend live fire training to obtain initial certification as an aircraft rescue firefighter. Sponsored by management and may be acted on.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, might I ask you, Matt, what this is about?
Sure, so this is a typical travel letter to the town manager from the Airport Commission for a travel approval for training. We have an airport operations specialist, Will Blakaitis, who after about 20 years is retiring as an operations specialist. That'll be effective May 2nd. So we advertised that position internally in accordance with our Teamsters union contract, and we were able to identify a successful candidate internally. In fact, he's here today, Joey, Robert Bierce. Joey, go ahead, wait. Joey previously worked for Atlantic's predecessor, Ross Retrix. He was a seasonal staff member with us for 3 summers in the operations department, and since October of last year, he's been a full-time maintenance technician. So Bob Bolzman, the operations supervisor, and I interviewed with Joey on Wednesday last week. We're trying to turn this around quickly to get that hole filled. We have 10 operations specialists that cover a 24/7 schedule for firefighting. So this is critical to our compliance. With Joey's prior experience and his excellent attitude as a member of the team, we identified Joey as the successful candidate. We then went and searched and found an upcoming ARF certification. Aircraft rescue and firefighters are required to go through an initial 40-hour training. And this is the basics of how to be a firefighter for aircraft, understanding the equipment that you operate, the extinguishing agents, all of the different types of scenarios with dangerous goods, passenger evacuations, malfunctioning equipment. We typically will send people to the Bluegrass Airport Regional Fire Training Center, which is in Lexington, Kentucky. They have a class that runs April 14th to 18th. We've previously sent 3 members of our team when they were hired over the last 8 years to this course. We find it's one of the best ones in the country in terms of what it provides and how it provides. So the total cost for this is $2,695. That includes the $1,000 course fee, airfare, the hotel, and then the meals and incidentals. But the idea is that we're able to get Joey through that training this week in April the 14th to the 18th. He'll be able to transfer from the maintenance technician position right into the operations specialist role. He'll be certified as a firefighter, aircraft fueler because of his prior experience, and he'll be learning the inspection process, but he'll be able to move right into that so that it's a seamless transition. And then we're advertising for that maintenance spot for an effective date in May at the present time. So that is the request, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any comments from members of the commission?
No.
Joey, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about who you are?
Not necessary, I don't think. I think Matt did a great job.
on the spot, but I want to give you the opportunity.
Matt did a great job introducing it, so I appreciate
Mr.
that.
Chairman, just quickly, so Joey's moving from maintenance technician position to this role.
Correct.
Are we backfilling?
So we'll move him to operations. The maintenance technician position is presently open for internal candidates.
Okay.
And so hopefully we'll have applications there. If not, then it will go out to the public.
Okay.
But the goal will be to keep moving that forward.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure. Okay, any other debate, discussion, concern? Not hearing any, we'll call this vote. This is item 0325-3 to review and approve a travel letter for airport staff for Joey. So with that being said, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is a vote. Good
Have a
luck
safe
at
trip.
school and do a good job. Okay, next item on the agenda are announcements. Any comments from anyone who is the commissioner? Not seeing any, we'll move right to number 10, matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair. The only matter that was not anticipated is that we will take a 30-minute recess. I'll need a motion for that, and then we will reconvene in open session after we have taken a look at this person's resume, and we will move from there.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we will take a recess for 30 minutes. Okay, I'm going to call this meeting back to order. We are once again in public session. It's a meeting of the Cape Cod Gateway Commission. It is being recorded and broadcast on the town of Barnstable's government access channel. Once again, when we are reconvening, so I might ask if anyone else is recording. Not seeing anybody. We can go directly to item number SCO M0325-1. This was accepting the resignation of the interim airport manager,
Excuse me,
and
Chairman.
then discussing next steps.
Chairman, would
Yes.
you mind if I took a roll call vote?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. Chairman Flores,
Here.
Vice Chairman Gio,
Here?
Clerk Weil,
Here.
Commissioner Beerworth,
Here.
Commissioner Bailey,
Here.
Commissioner DeGeorge,
Here.
Commissioner Melo. Here. And Yarmouth Rep. Christine Greeley.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have not, at this point, actually voted on this, which was effectively accepting Matt's resignation based on discussion of moving as quickly as possible to have continuity in management of the airport. So I have asked, for the sake of folks who might be watching in the public, I had asked for Mr. Nelson, Mike Nelson's resume to be distributed to members of the Airport Commission. So that is now on the table. Commissioner Gio, you know this person better than anybody. He's just a name to the rest of us, so perhaps you could give us a little background and explanation.
Sure. I think his resume speaks for himself. You know, having spent 17 years at Logan, I know the complexity of that operation quite well as controller and also in management, and the requirements to work closely with Massport in matters dealing with the management of the airport itself. So Mike was a controller at Boston. He was the air traffic chief at Boston, which is an incredibly challenging position, which involves not only dealing with Port Authority on a regular basis, but also in dealing with union matters, labor management relations, HR, finance, all of that. It's all of the components that this position in airport management requires. He has deep experience on. It's the day-to-day tactical operation of the airport that he doesn't have direct experience on, but that's why we have such an excellent staff here. He has outstanding people skills. That's one of the things that he's been noted for his entire career. I want to make clear that Mr. Nelson, I would not call him a friend of mine, only because I think the last time I saw him was 20 years ago.
Okay.
And the only reason why I talked to him recently was because before I brought the idea to this commission, I did reach out to him and said, if we went this way, would you be willing to accept it? He said yes. And that's it. That's about the only contact I've had with him over the past.
And he would be willing to start immediately?
Yes, and he would be willing to start immediately.
And he lives locally, I think he's in Plymouth?
Yes, he's in Plymouth, right. And and up until, I think his resume indicates April of last year, he was the air traffic chief here, so he knows this airport. He knows that topic.
Okay. Any other discussion, questions, comments from anyone on the commission? I'm not hearing any. I would like to...
Mr. Chairman, point
Yes.
of order.
Yes, sir.
I would like to amend motion for 0325-1.
Okay, before we do that, I'd just like to make a suggestion. That as part of this whole process, I'm thinking that Mr. Green, knowing the operations side of the airport and what's involved, doesn't necessarily know the other aspects of managing the airport. So I would like to amend this motion at some point during this discussion to allow me to reach out to Bud Brio and suggest to Bud, who has indicated to me that he would be available a couple of days per week to give him the opportunity to still come on board. And I think between Mr. Green, who would be here full-time from an operational perspective and management perspective, but also Bud, who could be here a couple of days, we have money in the budget for it, and I'm discussed it with Mark Mill, and I've discussed it with Bill Cole, that between the two, I think we would be in good shape while we are permanently searching for a new candidate, a new group of candidates relative to the future of the management of the airport. So I'd like to incorporate that into this motion. If there's any discussion.
That's what I.
Oh.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Who is Mr. Green?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Nelson.
He's in the ballroom with the candlestick.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, Mike Nelson, I don't know
Okay,
this
there we
guy.
And we have this under control.
I know I'm Michael Green, that's why Mike Green's a friend, so.
What's Bud's last
Mike
name?
Nelson's not.
What's Bud's last name?
Brio, B-R-E-A-U-L-T. And I think between Mr. Mike Nelson and Mr. Bud Brio, we would have a good team that could move us forward until working with ADK.
Okay.
And I think also, the only other point I make, Bud's known to the airport, he's known to the town, the staff know him well, he was the airport manager for years. He's not a townie, but he's well respected, and I think it would give peace of mind, if you will, to staff and to employees that, we're not blowing this thing up. We don't want to be disruptive. We want to keep it as smooth as we possibly can as we move forward and make sure that we bring in the best possible management that can work well with the team that we have comprised here at Cape Cod Gateway Airport. So I'll step down.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, I move to amend the motion for 0325-1 to read, to accept the resignation of Cape Cod Gateway Airport Interim Airport Manager Matthew T. Elia, effective June 12, 2025, and to appoint Mike Nelson, full-time, and Bud Brio, part-time, as interim assistant managers on a temporary basis until such time as a permanent manager is selected.
Okay. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion, any debate?
Mr. Chairman, may I just ask that Chris had some very valuable input on Mike Nelson? It might be helpful for the people who are here to, you had said you'd worked with him and to give your comments?
Sure. So I worked with Mike Nelson when he was the airport, or the tower manager, as I was the project manager, so we interacted on multiple things. We've been through a lot of managers over my time here, and Mike is definitely one that is engaged with not only myself, our staff, but also tenants to really figure out issues at the airport. His interpersonal skills are outstanding, and his emergency management things, he's been there and done that. So there's no doubt in my mind that he would be able to fill the breach. So I think it's a good selection from my point of view, at least.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Any other discussion? Not hearing any, we'll call this vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Not hearing any, that is a vote.
So then
Matt, we accepted your resignation.
Wait, no. All we did was we voted on the amendment. Now we
Oh,
have to
I'm
vote
sorry.
on the amended motion. So I move that we vote on the amended motion,
Which you-
as previously stated, yes.
Okay, is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? I jumped the gun. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that is a vote. Now I can say, Matt, we have officially accepted your resignation. We have brought on Mike Nelson on an interim basis along with Bud Brio. Bud doesn't know that I had a conversation with him. He was still gonna get back to me later today whether or not he could do it. But now knowing that the way this has arrived, I think Bud will be in total agreement, so I think you won't have any qualms about it whatsoever. So I hope that we have, I know that we have done the right thing. We've moved this as quickly as we possibly can to fill the breach of unexpected management change that none of us saw coming. But we will move this airport forward, and we'll move it cohesively with all of the staff people who are in the room and members of the commission. And I thank you all for coming. And this is a team effort. We're going to have Bud knows the airport. Mr. Nelson knows it to a certain point. So everyone needs to sort of pitch in and go a little above and beyond, if you will, making sure that things go as smoothly as we can. And I know I can count on this team. And Joey, I know you're going to come back recertified as a new employee. So we look forward to it all. So with that being said, I will take a motion.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, can we just mention again the networking meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock?
Yeah, the Hyannis Chamber, in partnership with the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce, is having, it's called coffee before work, I think is what the term is. Anyway, at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, there is a chamber event where we serve coffee, we serve Danish, and I'm going to invite both Bud and Mike to come here for that, and then perhaps subsequent to that, if someone wants to, you know, continue conversation with him and with staff, that would be appropriate.
Sure.
Yes.
And if I may make a comment before we close. First of all, I want to echo, I think it was Commissioner Melo's comments about your leadership. I think that this was a curveball, and that you responded well and fast. And I really appreciate your clarity about the need to execute on this matter. I think you have steered us in a direction that will make this pretty much a seamless transition as we go forward. I would also like to remind the Commission that one of the things that you tried to advocate with some others was ADK as a search option for replacement for the manager position. This is a $13 million operation. This is not a mom and pop operation anymore, and we have to continuously move forward in conducting ourselves as a professional operation and do the kinds of things that successful professional operations and organizations do. And I know there was some concern about spending the money going with ADK. When we had Matt available to us, we tried to make the point that this didn't exclude Matt. Matt was going to be part of the process. But had we gone down that road, we'd have a list of candidates right now and probably be in the interview process. So I just want to remind the Commission that as we go forward, because we did something this way in the past, is not necessarily a dictate that we should do this going forward in the future, unless it makes solid business sense. So with that, I'll get off my soapbox.
Well,
Thank you.
It's a point well taken. That was a 4-3 vote. I know the three of us that wanted to bring in ADK a while back were probably disappointed, and but now it's turned around, so both sides of the aisle, the 4 vote is happy with the way it went, and now the 3 vote is happy on this side of the agenda, of the equation. So with that being said, thank you for those kind comments,
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Gio, but I would only close by saying, you know, I'm just one member of the commission. Thank God, I'm so fortunate to be surrounded by qualified people who are really committed to making sure that this airport runs as smoothly and efficiently and as effectively as possible. And we're blessed with a great staff. There's never a point in time where I have to really wait for a question to be answered. People are on top of their game here, so I don't know if a lot of people realize how valuable this airport is as an asset to the town, but also the employees and the commissioners and everybody involved here really are they're cream of the crop, so to speak. So all I'm going to say thank you. So with that being said, enough patting ourselves on the back. With that being said, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing anybody? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? That's it.